Oh my gosh, the curly nugget, and you have all your curls right in front. I love it.
Yes, I'm trying to like figure out
So cute.
this angle.
I know it can be hard with the stands, like to figure out exactly where to put it.
A little bit, yeah. Well, because I was using my camera one, and this one's a little bit higher, so give me just a sec.
I just got a new one in the mail, and then like really quickly at like 1:45, my boyfriend put it together for me because I couldn't figure out how to put it together.
I want
So
a
I
boyfriend.
Oh, they're very handy sometimes. Can also be.
Okay, let's see if that works. Okay.
You like that?
I just won't touch it. Okay.
Cool. You look great, and it's like perfectly. I think I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for. Positioned.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is my studio. I could show you it afterwards since I'd have to move the camera. But this is kind of just like my working wall of art that's available and that like I'm newly creating. The wall over here is art that I'm currently working on, and this is kind of like the finished wall.
Very cool, very cool. So do you hang all your pieces on the wall as you're making them, like as opposed to like an easel or something?
I don't have an easel. I either will do tabletop or on the wall. Lately, because I've been doing so many murals, I'm getting used to hanging things on the wall or hanging canvas on the wall and then working that way. But I kind of also like the sensation of drawing on canvas as if I'm drawing on paper. So having it flat really works out well too.
That's cool. So what do you usually use? Like what, I mean, I know you're like a super multi-medium artist. So when you are drawing on canvas, what are you using? Like charcoal, pencils, markers?
Yeah, I'm using color pencil and then Conti crayon and an actual graphite, so actual pencils.
Nice. Very cool. I remember back when I was in art class and we learned about all the different like numbers of pencils and how some of them have like real graphite in them, and like the number 2 pencils that we all use in school aren't actually real pencils. Yeah, that's
I have
cool.
like 3 different pouches of color pencils, markers, and pencils. So definitely, like if I can't find one, there's like 3 other bags that I can like go to try to find them. But
That's awesome. I love that. So I know, or at least I was reading about in your bio, that you kind of got started with more like painting like the Black female form, and that you're kind of your first inspiration. So can you tell me more about that? Like how do you inspire yourself as like your own greatest masterpiece?
I've never been asked that question before.
Good
How
one.
do I inspire myself?
Waiting for you.
I feel like that's a lifelong question. I'll put that one on pause. But how did I get started? I'm from Seattle, and when I was graduating from high school, I wanted to get as far away as possible. Just wanted to spread my wings. So I went to Howard University in DC, and while I was there, I took a figure painting class, followed by several figure drawing classes, and just the experience of being in a classroom with everyone being Black. It was like majority female, because the ratio was like 9 women to every 1 male. So it often felt as if I was in like a female only, college experience, which had its ups and it also had its downs. But anyway, so it was cool because in those classes we either would model for each other or we learned how to kind of take portraits or look in the mirror while also doing a self-portrait. And so that's how I got started. And I think the other piece of it too is I want to draw and have more women of color and Black women model for me. Um, but I want to make sure that I'm able to properly pay for that service. And so I would never want to ask someone to do it for free. So,
Can you hear me? Yeah?
oh, sorry, I missed. Yeah, say that one more time.
No, yeah, so I was saying that I think that's so great that you really want to pay your models. And just that so often it's really only Black women or, Black people of all different kinds of genders that really think about that. That people really need to get paid for their labor, especially when it comes to the labor that's done by a Black body, especially a Black woman's body or other women of color too. So I just want to give you some props for that and say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And excuse me. So I think you might also be involved in some of the more like political artwork here in Seattle right now too, yeah?
I am. I'm yes, I am. It's definitely. I was kind of telling Vivid Matter earlier today that I'm realizing my art is more political, but I didn't necessarily think that it was, like a year or like 3 years ago. But definitely from the Black Lives Matter mural, I definitely say from that moment and kind of everything that has followed after, I'm realizing that like my leadership and my art is needed in these conversations, and so it's a little bit of just kind of like an adjustment mentally to realize that Takia mentioned this on the earlier interview that all of these organizations um, and people in the industry now want to bring us to the table, and so having being able to like use that leverage to help other artists is a huge responsibility, but it can be a little overwhelming at times, or it has been in the last like couple weeks.
Yeah. So tell me more about that. How do you deal with being overwhelmed and like how do you make sure that you're prioritizing rest as well as your activism?
Mm-hmm. Um, not not gonna lie, I think usually when I'm overwhelmed, there's a moment of me freaking out. Like that's the first piece of it. Um, but I'm learning to one like set boundaries in my schedule with just turning my phone off and turning my mind off from having to think about like work. Like this is my art. I'm a full-time artist. I love it and I'm passionate about it, but it very much is work. And so lately I've realized that, folks are emailing at different times and because we're artists, there's just more like flexibility in when we're going to respond to emails and inquiries and calls and DMs. And so um, I'm learning to set those boundaries for myself with just saying I will do that tomorrow. So that's one thing. Um, Also, I'm really big on self care. I love me, and so if that's from like steaming my face to um, going on a walk or taking a bubble bath or doing my nails or and I think I'm at the point with self care where it just feels I've had conversations with people and they are like kind of in awe at the amount of self care that I do for myself. But it just feels so natural at this point um, that like my level of self care probably seems like a lot to someone who may not do it at all. So those are probably like, oh, go ahead. You were gonna say something.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just gonna say that's incredible. I think self-care is so important, especially if you like really study its origins with Audre Lorde and the way that she talked about it, and just knowing that the whole concept of self-care came from a Black woman, I think makes so much sense. And I think a lot of women of color really don't understand just how like just revolutionary it can be in your own life to really engage in that kind of level of self-care. So I would definitely commend you for that too.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I also follow the Nap Ministry. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
Yes. I love following them, and I feel like every time they post, it's also, you know, because we get into the flow of scrolling and you get lost in it, and then TikTok pops up, and then you can just go down so many like deep dives. But I find it really, really refreshing when I see their posts and they're just like, "Hey, rest. Rest is really
Right.
the thing." So yeah, I love following like those types of accounts, and I also follow Therapy for Black Girls.
Yes.
Um, yeah, yeah. So I try to like edit out my Instagram feed. If someone's like posting a whole bunch of bullshit, I will mute, unfollow, and then replace with something else.
Yo, that's so important, and I think people need to stop taking it so personally because it's like some content I just can't have on my Instagram feed. Like I want to be able to like wake up, maybe do a little bit of my morning routine, and then log on to Instagram and scroll through and see things that are gonna inspire me and boost me up for my day. So that includes stuff like Nap Ministry, Therapy for Black Girls. Sylvie Hussein is another one of those great therapist sites. Because like just similarly to what you're saying, like I get tired too, man. Like I think women of color, black women especially, are out here like doing pretty much everything for everyone. Um, yeah, and it's it can become exhausting, and it feels like kind of like if we don't do it, nobody else will. Um, but then that goes for that self care piece too. Like if we don't do that, nobody else is going to do that either.
Yeah, no, I've been having these conversations in the last couple weeks, and it is interesting. Even when go to, I wrote a card to my friend today, and just popped it in the mail. But in writing, I wanted, like, I found myself saying, like, complimenting her, and I was like, you are so strong. And I also just feel like sometimes, even in the language that we use to support one another, we're also kind of transferring that, like, that weight. So I also just was like, you're strong, but you're also soft. And if you ever need to cry, like, just embrace those tears and don't feel that you always have to be strong.
Right.
So I'm even trying to figure out like how I can improve my language in like my like tribe and community, and then kind of touching back on the Instagram thing with people taking it personally. I think that you never really know what content you're posting, like how that could trigger someone.
Right.
So if we're able to kind of disconnect our social media accounts and pages from like all I don't know, like hurt or animosity, like could maybe be erased. So
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Thank you. And so going back like a little bit to some of that talk around the female form, like I know at least, you were writing about how, bodies, some like how maybe you drew them back at Howard aren't exactly something that you do as much anymore, but that you still see the female form coming through your abstract work. So how does that work? Tell me more about that.
yeah, so this painting. I'm trying not to move the camera.
Wow, those are so beautiful.
Okay, yeah, I have to move the camera. Okay, shit. All right, here we go. Just say fuck it. Okay, so this painting right here,
Yeah.
was the first painting that kind of helped me realize that like I can do abstract non-representational work. Um, and most of my work before that was still abstract. So like this piece here called Embrace, I did that one in college, and then this one here, look back at it.
Wow.
I did that. So those are like older pieces, whereas my newer work, what's new? I'm still using the female form, let's see, this pink one.
I love that.
So that's actually, those are pieces of, it's collage and it's actually paper. So those are pieces of my prints that I cut up into different shapes and then glue together on a canvas. And then that's a strip of fabric. So there's that one. This one is new as well. So the female form is still very much there. Um,
Is that one for sale?
oh, all of for sale.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to yeah after this.
Yes, let's have that conversation. And this one is new as well. So I think it's kind of
I
a
love those.
combo. Like I still use the female form, but I'm also really leaning into creating my own prints and textures. And I think the piece that connects no matter what it is that I'm doing is that sort of the sensual lines, the curvilinear like essence is still there. So if you think about maybe if you were to like touch, to be honest, if you were to like touch your breast and then maybe all the way down to your hip, I try to create that same sense of flow in the non-representational work, just as I do when there's a figure. So I feel like that's what connects the two. And to be quite honest, I also feel like so much more, I don't know, there just would be happiness in this world if more people masturbated or just, like let that go. And we also don't talk about it in the Black community. And I think that I'm trying to find, I'm not trying to find my voice, I'm trying to use my platform to heal and inspire and also to just reflect the energy that like all of these self-portraits, all of the like future models that I'm going to use, it's from a place of like liberation. And I feel like so much, especially on social media right now, is we see the female form very like Barbied up and super, it's not kind of, it doesn't feel authentic.
Yeah.
Kind of making us feel as if like our roles are not okay, or that we're supposed to have this like Coke bottle shape, when it's like even trying to unlearn that is a lifelong journey. But and I feel like a part of my healing practice or a part of my art and my self-care is also me unlearning that and really embracing like the roles and squishy elements and whatever of my body. And so I want women to feel empowered and to feel that from my art, because it's not actually about anyone else's gratification. Like it's all about you.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. I definitely received that just from looking at that piece, which is why I asked if it was for sale. But then like hearing you speak on it, just kind of like highlights it in a new way. And I think, yeah, especially in the Black community, like we don't talk about like self-touch, even if it's not masturbation. Like just about like the act of like getting to know the skin that we're in, and like loving the body that we're in and feeling like we're in our bodies. And I think like self-touch can really help with that. And that just like touching yourself is like a really important part of self-care.
I mean, and especially right now because we're in this pandemic. I mean, is it even a pandemic at this point? If we're like one of the only countries that are like still where we're at, but whatever. Pandemic, COVID, interchangeably. I just feel like we're not being able to like hug someone or hug a friend. I feel like that's been so hard. Right. And so I feel like if there ever was a time, it's now to like self-explore, but also to like whoever it is that you live with, just to be able to like lean on them and actually feel like another body, because it doesn't, I don't really even know, no one knows how long we're going to be in this, but
Right.
we have, yeah, it's gonna be a little while.
Yeah, it does seem like it's going to be a while, and I would say I would definitely agree with you. Like, it's more important now than ever to, like, even if you're not in like a romantic situation, or or even like a sexual situation with the people that you live with, like, just getting to know what it feels like to touch another human being and like be
Mm-hmm.
in those intimate spaces, not only with yourself but also with other people too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think even you kind of answered a couple of the questions that I opened with, just in that conversation, just like a little bit about your art being political, because rest is really revolutionary in this day and age, um, especially for Black women. Like the idea that women of color, that we get to decide when we're going to rest, that we get to decide that we're not going to respond to that text, we're not going to clean up somebody else's dishes, we're not going to do the emotional labor of explaining why we're feeling the way we're you know and then also I feel like you kind of touched on how you inspire yourself as a Black woman, like through things like self-touch, even just the way that you explain, like the way that you think about the curvature of the body, and that is reflected in your work.
Yeah.
So you did a good job. You came back to that question.
Thanks. I'd say the last piece of that, of what inspires me truly and very deeply, is music. And so, um, I don't know how to put this. I'm definitely one of the people where if I hear a song, I'm gonna Shazam it quietly, so that no one can see. But add it to like my likes later. So I use Spotify, and um, I literally just I go through my likes and just listen to that, and try to hop on like SoundCloud, or if like DJ friends have anything, just try to follow that. But all in all, finding music so that when I'm trying to kind of like dancing, right, finding a way to paint sort of to the beat, um, that's inspiring within itself.
Hmm. That's awesome. I love that. I can definitely resonate with that too. Like, I don't feel like I can get anything done creatively if there isn't music playing. Yeah. So we have about 5 minutes left. So I would love to also touch on just a little bit about your participation in the Vivid Matter Collective, and like,
Mm-hmm.
how has that been for you? I mean, is this your first time in a collective? If not, like, what's new about this, uh, and what's exciting about it for you?
Yeah, so this is my first time being in a collective. Um, and I would say I, before doing the mural, knew maybe a third, maybe just under, yeah, about a third of the artists. So I'm still very much getting to know everyone. Um, we are like 15, or I don't even know at this point, 15 or 16 different people. So it's beautiful kind of seeing how we're all kind of like the mural. We're all individually very different.
Yeah.
We all are at different stages of our career. We all have different perspectives and ties to the community. And so that is very beautiful. I also feel like I really just want us to paint together again. And
Mm,
so a lot of, since we've come together, a lot of what we've had to talk about or deal with has been kind of very reactive to things, like when our mural was violated and vandalized, when we had to rally to do that. And so, I'm a little tired, to be honest. I have to set boundaries, not necessarily with vivid, but more of just there's a way where you can get overwhelmed and kind of lose sight of the goal. And I feel like one of my goals and one of the things that we've talked about is are creating more works together. So I'm really excited and also advocating for us to do that as well as deal with all the other matters that are at hand. What was your other question?
I think you kind of answered them all, but so I kind of have a follow-up now. Like what, so I think I was reading about you that murals are kind of a new medium for you.
As
New,
of this year, yeah.
yeah. So, oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So like, would you want to do a mural together? Like, is that something that you'd be into, or like, what do you see as this vision of stuff that you all could do together?
Yeah, so we actually already have a couple opportunities that are in place. We just need to kind of lean in and like, I don't know, decide kind of the timeline on those.
Yeah.
Murals are a new medium for me. I started in March, and since then I've done about 4. My most recent mural is on 23rd in Massachusetts outside of the African American Museum.
Cool.
So I'm like super excited about that, but also just in terms of rest, knowing that I needed a couple days for my body to relax on that and just flow. But yeah, like Vivid Matter, I'm really excited for the friendships that are and will create out of this space. And I think that specifically in the year of 2020, with social distancing being like so hard for me, it was such a beautiful blessing to be popped into this situation where like I immediately have like a new network of people and we're all actively working together, trying to preserve our art, trying to advocate for other artists, trying to stop white people from stealing our shit and trying to make profit off of it, right? But also finding ways to like further empower our collective communities and also just inspire people and to keep talking about how Black Lives Matter. Because I think, I don't know on your Instagram, but I've seen a lot of posts that have said like, if your Instagram looks normal, you're not doing the work.
Right.
My Instagram never looked normal. My was always filled with someone dying, someone being beaten.
Right.
You know, like it never was normal to begin with. And so I think one great thing is that even if I have like no content that I'm posting or anything that like maybe I'm working on for a couple days, I can then elevate something that someone in the collective is doing. And so that just like ally and empowering one another is really nice.
I love that. Thank you. So to close, I always do 2 questions. One of which is, where can we find you? I know you have work up all over the city, maybe even all over the greater Puget Sound area in various galleries, which one of them is Onyx Gallery, which is an incredible Black-owned gallery that just finally reopened with safety precautions and everything. But where else can we find you after this?
Yeah, okay, so digitally you can find me on www.perrirhoden.com. The link will always be in my bio. I'm coming out with a newsletter in August, so I probably should have done that before this interview. But anyway, if you visit my website in the next couple of days, there'll be a little window where you can like put your email in so you can get that first newsletter. I'm on Instagram at the Curly Nugget, and when I don't really know when this shit's gonna be over, but my studio's in Ballard, which is a little bit far and outside of the neighborhood that I usually live in, but yeah, I'm in Ballard, and so it's pretty cute. I like it. Oh, okay, well.
Oh yeah, you have to give us a little tour. Give us a little tour before we sign up.
Okay, so I do have my sister and my friend Hannah in here, so you'll see them. Y'all be ready to say hi.
Sister and
Okay,
Hannah.
so from the door, this is kind of the wall. My nice chair that I got from my old company. And then that's my sister Taylor. Taylor, say hi. Hi. She's my
Hi,
manager.
Taylor.
And then my friend Hannah, she's my greatest supporter.
Hi, Hannah.
And then this is the wall
Wow.
I was telling you about.
Yo, I love those knots. I can't get over that piece.
Thank
Just to
you.
the, yeah.
Yeah. So that's me in my studio.
Awesome. Well,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. And thank you for taking up space in the bathroom too. I love that.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, we need more melanin in that neighborhood.
Yes.
And then the last question I always ask is just, what would you like to leave the audience with? I like to let the artists kind of close.
If you are a supporter of the arts and you're wanting to buy work or support an artist, pay them what they're worth. Also, don't expect people to give free. If they offer, awesome, but don't assume. If you are an artist, take rest, self-care, and just feel empowered by whatever it is that you're feeling. Just make some like, I'm learning how to sew. We'll see how it goes. We'll see, but I'm just gonna try. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, try some shit, make something, just keep creating.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Perri. It's been a pleasure to have you on here.
Thank you. This was great. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I mean, there's literally not a cloud in the sky right now.
I know. It's so pretty.
Yeah, so I'm about to get my outside.
I'm about to go up on the roof.
Yes, so thank you for everyone who commented and who also joined in, and I hope to do this with you soon. And if you do want to chat about that art piece, definitely I'm here. So.
Yeah, I'll DM you.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye.